What is up, everybody? Chase Oliver here, bringing you another video to my channel. Yes, I know you guys can't see my face, but it's okay. This is a little NBA discussion, little NBA playoff predictions of the first round only. Joining me on this journey that will be the NBA playoff discussion will be Timran Ramkaram, or Rated RKO Timran, as you guys used to know him. He will be joining me for every round of the playoffs to discuss the playoffs and everything and predict the playoffs with me, and also recap the action. So, Timran, what's up, buddy?
And not much. As you guys know me, I am the Rated RKO Timran, so go ahead, subscribe, and let's not waste any more time. Let's get done.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the East first, Timran, because the Eastern Conference, let's face it, not exciting whatsoever. I'm not dieharding and saying I gotta watch these Eastern Conference matchups. I'm going to watch just for the sake, so that way I know what I'm talking about when we do these videos. But just bottom line, the East is not exciting whatsoever. Let's get started with the first seed Indiana Pacers taking the 8th seed Atlanta Hawks on. This matchup, I think a lot of people think Indiana, like a lot of people are afraid for Indiana because they've been having terrible second half of the season for a very top tier team. Like, they're lucky that the Hawks upsetted the Heat that one game to be the first seed and have home court advantage throughout the whole playoffs. But I think the Hawks could give Indiana a little bit more trouble than a lot of people are letting on. I don't think this is going to be a sweep. I think the game 3 will be given to the Hawks because the Fortress is always packed up for game 3. That's when Hawks fans are excited and know that their team has a chance still in the playoff matchup. But then after game 3, then their fans kind of stop showing up to the Fortress. So I give this to Indiana in 5 games. Unless Al Horford comes back magically, I don't give the Hawks any chance whatsoever. I don't. I just don't. What about you?
The Indiana Pacers have been struggling lately, but that's no alarm to ring bells and say, hey, the Atlanta Hawks are going to come in and the Indiana Pacers in the first round. I am going with the Indiana Pacers in 5 games. I would not be shocked in any case if this series goes to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not. But I do not see a 7-game series. That's out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the Indiana Pacers have been struggling, but let's be real here. Besides Jeff Teague
and Paul Millsap,
they don't really have a guard play that can penetrate against against the Pacers defense. Yes, Paul Millsap, he is a force to reckon with, and I believe the Pacers interior defense can stop him well enough to win this series in 5 to 6 games, but nothing more and nothing less.
Yeah, no, like if the Hawks had, like I said, if they had Horford back, I would kind of be worried for the Pacers here because it's like say if Horford was out for just a regular season, but they said, oh, Horford's going to be back for the playoffs. I would just be like, oh shit, we're getting Al Horford's coming back. Oh, I would not want to mess with that because Horford was having a really good season before going down to the injury. That is the truth. Horford was having a really, really good season, and I feel bad that he went down for the injury. But if this was the Knicks, if the Knicks were in the AFC situation, I would be more worried for the Pacers in that. And to be honest with you, I think the Knicks would cause more problems for the Pacers. I mean, than the Hawks. So the Pacers should be happy that it's the Hawks facing them.
Yeah, the Hawks are that one team that's just in there to be in there.
Yeah, much. They're consistently making the playoffs every year, and everyone's excited. So yay, go Hawks! You Hawks fans are lucky. All right, let's talk about the Chicago versus Washington matchup. AKA, if Derrick Rose was healthy, we would all be watching this matchup. Derrick Rose versus John Wall. Oh, NBA would just be ejaculating to that possible of a matchup. But honestly, Washington, I don't want to say this will be a sweep for the Bulls. I think Bradley Beal will hit one game winner that everyone will be tweeting about. But I just think Chicago will win in like 5 games. I mean, they have so much experience in the playoffs, and Chicago believes, even though they probably won't, but they totally believe they're going to make the finals and win it all. That's what makes this team so scary, is because the Bulls' mental forefront, it doesn't matter who's on the roster or anything. You can put a bunch of scrubs on the roster, but the way Thibodeau coaches and the way Joakim Noah leads is they believe they can make it all the way. And the Wizards, if anything, I'm not going to say they're happy to be there because they're going to be a hungry young team that will definitely push the Bulls to some boundaries. But it's pretty much Chicago. They're mentally ready for this. And I feel that's what's going to be the edge here. I would say Chicago in 5. I think Chicago will win this in 5 games. I think they will lose 1 game, kind of like what I said with the Pacers. It could go to 6, but I wouldn't say this would go to 7.
I'm gonna go total haywire on this one.
Hmm.
I've really thought about this matchup because this is a very intriguing matchup. Both teams, first of all, I know the Eastern Conference sucks, but for the Washington Wizards to be fifth, that speaks volume. With their coaching, with their point guard play. The Washington Wizards, Nene is back healthy. Marcin Gortat has been playing pretty well all year long. Trevor Ariza, very good wing player. John Wall, one of the top 10, arguably top 6 and top 5 point guards in the NBA. Bradley Beal, a sharpshooter in his own right.
I think he's the most underrated sharpshooter, Bradley Beal. I think people don't talk about him that much because the Wizards normally suck.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna. Yes, the Bulls are the favorite as they should be. Joakim Noah is one of the best centers in the NBA, and that team just the way their mentality is going into every game and every playoff series. It's amazing how that team continuously wins with injuries. But I'm gonna go with the upset here. I'm going with the Washington Wizards.
We're going with the Wizards.
I'm going with the Washington Bullets. Yes, the Washington Wizards.
The Bullets.
In 7 games to beat the Chicago Bulls, just because simply the Bulls are missing that score, that Nate Robinson type score they had in the playoffs last year. Derrick Rose, obviously. Can DJ Augustine really fill that role? I'm gonna have to wait and see. Yes, Joakim Noah is all around one of the best centers in the league, but other than him, do I really see anyone stepping up and putting up a lot of points? The Wizards can put up a lot of points. I'm just worried about the Chicago Bulls will not be able to put up enough points, and the Wizards will be able to put up enough points to steal the big upset and win this series. And this will be the big upset of the playoffs or in the first round, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I'm just really high on Chicago all the time. Like I remember I chose the Nets to beat them last year, and then Chicago's grit and determination overcame the Nets. So I'm just normally when it comes down to the first round, I expect the Bulls to make it to the second round and provide the Eastern Conference Finals, the Eastern Conference semifinals to be very interesting. So I just think the Bulls still just have the Wizards number. Like I can see what you're saying there that the Bulls have no scoring. I mean, besides DJ Augustine, like what Taj Gibson when he comes off the bench, that's it. And Jimmy Butler, I hate to say about Jimmy Butler, I was really high on this kid last year in the playoffs. I don't think he's done anything to impress me at all this season. Like last year in the playoffs, I was like, oh my god, the Bulls. Could you imagine Jimmy Butler and Derrick Rose backcourt? Jimmy Butler, injuries have been happening to him. He hasn't been consistent enough to me. Kirk Heinrich, is he really that good of a scorer? Like good option? Is he considered your number 2 option at this point? Jimmer Fredette, you got a point there. Chicago probably can't put up enough points to win this series.
Marco Bellinelli should still be on that team.
Yeah. Well, that's why the Spurs are dominant in the West. Toronto versus Brooklyn. This matchup I actually like. I actually like this matchup. A lot of the non-diehard NBA fans will be introduced to one of the best backcourts in the NBA with DeRozan and Lowry. I'm very excited about that. I love DeMar DeRozan. I think he's one of the most exciting players in the NBA people don't talk about because, let's face it, the Raptors normally suck. Kyle Lowry having a really, really good season. I really like this matchup. But the thing is, I don't think Toronto's going to break through. I think this is going to be my 7-game series because I think Brooklyn, they want revenge for what happened to them last season where they lost 7 games on their home court. I feel that they made the commitment to win now. They gave up all those draft picks to get Pearson Garnett onto this team. They got Andre Karolinko. They got John Salmons. They got all these old freaking players. They are looking to win now. I don't think the Nets are going to win anything this year. But they are a dangerous team. I think the Nets are a dangerous team. I think Darren Williams, I almost call him Derek Williams. Oh, my God. Darren Williams will step up and actually win this series. I think it's going to be a 7 thrilling game series. But at the end of the day, Dwayne Casey's Rock of Stone defense will not be able to stop Darren Williams as the Nets win in 7 games in Toronto. That's my prediction here. I'm giving because they have more experience than Toronto, too.
This is going to be another one for me that I shouldn't have said that my only upset was going to be the Washington Wizards beating the Chicago Bulls because I have 3 upsets in the first round. Wizards Bulls being one of them, and yes, the Toronto Raptors beating the Brooklyn Nets, one of them as well. Here's my thing with this. The betting odds in Vegas, yes, I totally understand why the Nets are favored in this series. But the Raptors were the one that came out with the third seed. They're the one that
Yep.
came out of franchise year with 48 wins, most ever in Raptors history. They started off the season 6-12. Let's not forget that 6-12 with Rudy Gay. Upon trading Rudy Gay, they went 41-19 since trading him, and that is remarkable. Dwayne Casey deserves a lot of credit. Kyle Lowry should have been an All-Star. And here's my thing: it's gonna come for the Brooklyn. I would not be surprised if the Brooklyn Nets win this series. First of all, if the front court of the Brooklyn Nets, Mason Plumlee and Kevin Garnett has a dominating series, the Nets will win this series. But if they're contained, I believe the Toronto Raptors will be too much for the Brooklyn Nets. As Chase said, the backcourt of the Toronto Raptors is one of the most explosive backcourts in the NBA. They're the second highest scoring backcourt behind Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. So I'm going with the Toronto Raptors in 6 games, not 7, 6. And I think the Toronto Raptors are taking it personal that the Brooklyn Nets purposely lost their last 2 games to fall back to 6 to play the Raptors in the first round.
Yep.
Dwayne Casey even sent a message to Jason Kidd and that saying, "Be careful what you wish for." And yes, be careful what you wish for. And I got in a lot of arguments on Twitter with Brooklyn Nets fans. This one girl who she claims she knows all about basketball. She's a huge Paul Pierce fan, telling me this girl goes on Twitter and she goes and says, "Oh, Miami will not get past the Nets."
If Brook Lopez was healthy, I would be on the Nets bandwagon. I would say the Nets would be that surprise team, but he's not healthy. He's not healthy.
Fans just like to jump to the second and third rounds without even analyzing the first round.
Yeah.
But I agree. If Brook Lopez was healthy, I would say Nets in 6 for sure. But him being injured, Mason Plumlee is still a rookie. Yes, he's had a great season, but let's be honest, he's a rookie.
He's surprisingly doing good. Yeah, I've been surprised by his level of play, Mason Plumlee. But the thing about the Nets and Toronto, I think this will be one of the this is the most exciting matchup in the East. Let's face it. Like Chicago and Washington, okay, that could be exciting for some reasons, but this is the most exciting. I mean, every regular season game that this team had with each other, they were good games. They were really fun games to watch, and you know you're going to get one stupid Paul Pierce 3 where he's like, it's celebrating. We're going to get an exciting Lowry drive to the basket. DeRozan's going to have a highlight dunk. Darren Williams is going to do some sick crossover. I mean, this is the most exciting matchup. I can't wait for this matchup. This is the matchup I'm looking forward to, and I'm glad it's.
Point I'm going to make about the Raptors. Terrence Ross had. I'm not going to say a breakout season, but he's had a pretty good season. Well, for a guy to have 51 points while just averaging 9 points, well, now he averages 12. It's going to really come down to him and his perimeter defense on Paul Pierce and Joe Johnson. If he can play well against those guys and hit his corner shots, that's even going to solidify my point to why the Raptors will win this season. He needs to have a good season.
I think this is just going to be a good matchup overall. Like, this is the matchup. I'm glad it's kicking off tomorrow. I'm glad we're going to watch really good basketball games to start off the day. I don't know why they're like, oh, yeah, Brooklyn and Toronto starting off. I'm like, this is actually a good matchup, ESPN. Like, don't treat this as a bad one. This is actually a good one. It has a lot of name value to it. It has a lot of interesting players, a lot of interesting play. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this one. Now it's time for the last Eastern Conference. And this one, it feels more like a 1-8 matchup than Indiana and Atlanta. Miami versus Charlotte. God, those Bobcats, they're so cute. Soon to be the Hornets again. Those Bobcat Hornets, whatever you want to call them, Horncats. They're so cute. I'm only happy that the Bobcats are in the playoffs because people can finally see Kemba Walker play basketball again. Bobcats don't get a lot of national TV games, and so a lot of people forget about Kemba Walker when he was a stud at UConn. So I'm glad Kemba's just getting TV time, and hopefully Kemba does good. Where a lot of people like get off Kyrie Irving's little dick and freaking say, "Oh, Kemba Walker's cooler than Kyrie Irving." I think Kemba Walker, personally for me, is better than Kyrie Irving because he can actually lead a team to the playoffs. The only matchup that Charlotte has over Miami is Al Jefferson. And really, when you're putting a lot of eggs in the Al Jefferson basket, that's not a good thing, in my opinion. I think Miami will sweep this series. I know it's kind of bad to just put down Charlotte like this because they made the playoffs, but I think Miami's just going to sweep them. They just have too much talent. Will there be Will there be interesting games at least? Yeah, I think 2 of the games in Charlotte will be interesting games. But other than that, I don't see Charlotte surprising the world and shocking us and defeating Miami in the first round. It'd be amazing, but I don't think it would happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not gonna beat around the bush with this series like I did for the last two series. I'm just gonna be straight up. The Charlotte Bobcats have no chance
Yeah.
against the Miami Heat in the first round of the NBA playoffs. But I will have the Boston give them a game. This will end. This will go to
Okay.
5 games. And the Charlotte, I say Charlotte wins Game 3. Like you said,
Yeah.
Game 3 was that pivotal game where the fans are hyped up. You know, the fans in North Carolina didn't really have nothing to hang around with for the past couple of years with their Charlotte Bobcats or any team for that matter. Well, last year the Panthers.
Yeah, the Panthers this season, but not
Yeah,
next.
so it'll be good for them, and I think they'll pull out that one game. But let's be real, they don't have enough firepower to even compete with the Miami Heat. Yes, Al Jefferson can score, but what's the one impediment of Al Jefferson? For him to having to go out on the perimeter to guard Chris Bosh, it's not going to work. Al Jefferson will be a defensive liability on the perimeter. Chris Bosh's ability to stretch, to stretch the Miami Heat's offense is going to pretty much easily win them this series, and it's going to end in 5 games. Like you said, Kemba Walker, I would agree with you. I think he's better than Kyrie Irving. Not only is he more durable, he stays healthy more often than not, and he takes his team to the playoffs.
Yeah.
He took one of the worst statistical teams ever. The Charlotte Bobcats last year was terrible, and now they're in the playoffs. Yes, the East sucks, but Kemba Walker's a very good point guard.
Also, Kid Gilchrist, he's improved a lot this season. I've liked what not super much, but he's actually got somewhat of an offensive game underneath him now, which is
he's improved. But the 2 games he did let up 62 points to LeBron James.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know. It was weird because he was known for his lockdown defense, and now his defense kind of disappeared, and his offense is gaining ground. Like at least he's been improved. I mean, there's a lot of good spots. This is good for Charlotte for experience sakes, especially with your young guard in Kemba, who I'm hoping this team is building a franchise around because let's face it, he's one of your better players. So, yeah, I'm just happy Kemba Walker's getting TV time because I love Kemba. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA.
Yeah, so Miami will win this series at 5, most likely 4, but maybe 5.
Yeah, but I would also say you could give Bobcats 1 game. That doesn't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. The Miami Heat are winning this one. So the only thing we have different is Chicago-Washington matchup. You have Washington. I have Chi-Town. I have Brooklyn. You have Toronto. And that's going to be interesting to see. I would definitely love to see a Toronto and Miami series. But I definitely want to see Chicago and Indiana. Because if one team could probably take out Indiana before, would be Chicago. Yeah, would be Chicago.
I agree. Derrick Rose would need to come back for the conference finals, but he won't.
Yeah, no, Derrick Rose is too busy making commercials about his jewelry and stuff. We don't need to bug Derrick Rose. Let him relax. He's not even an NBA player at this point. He's like a creature. He shows up every once in a while. You're like, hey, look, it's Derrick Rose. He's like a mythical creature. So let's just leave Derrick Rose and his knees alone.
Derrick Rose, Grant Hill 2.0, but worse.
No, let's not go that far with Grant Hill. Grant Hill actually had some decent years in the NBA. I mean, yes, Derrick Rose won an MVP, but after that, all downhill, man. I feel bad for the guy. This is what happens, kids. Don't cheat on your SATs. That's what he did. He cheated on his SATs. All right, let's talk about exciting basketball now. The Western Conference, where you could make an argument that the 1 seed through the 7th seed could actually make the finals. You can make that argument. I'm not going to be fully behind that, but you can make the argument there. But let's just talk about the Spurs and Dallas. Dallas is fucked. I think they were more excited to face OKC than San Antonio because at least Dallas could possibly win 1 game against OKC. But they have not been able to defeat the Spurs all season long. And I kind of wish the Phoenix Suns made the playoffs over the Dallas Mavericks, in all honesty. I wish Phoenix would have made it instead. Because at least Phoenix, they could at least take 1 or 2 games from the Spurs because they're a much more younger team. But Dallas, they ain't going to do crap against the Spurs. The Spurs are so much better than the Mavericks. And I know Mavericks fans are going to be like, oh, we could upset them. You have no chance at upsetting the Spurs here. I think the Spurs are excited because they didn't want to face Memphis. They were like, oh, we don't want to face Memphis again. Are you kidding me? Like, oh, even though, yes, they swept Memphis in the conference finals, I mean, Memphis is still a more scarier team than Dallas in the first round, where players are a lot more healthy, you would say. So San Antonio is just going to sweep Dallas. Get Dallas out of here, man. Get them out of here, man. I'm sorry. I have nothing good to say about the Dallas. I mean, Monte Ellis has had a good season. Good for him. Other than that, nothing really good to say about Dallas. They ain't winning.
this series is gonna be that series of couple years back where it was the Thunder and Lakers in the first round, but this is when the Thunder was really young and they lost in 5 games. That's pretty much gonna be. But this time the Mavericks, their age, it's gonna hurt them. They don't have much youth. Besides, well, do you really think Jose Calderon is gonna come and have this miracle series and lock down defense? No, the Mavericks sucks on defense. They can't stop anyone. Yes, they can score points. That's one. That's the only reason they're in playoffs because they can score points, but they can't stop anyone. I'm not gonna go with a sweep though. I'll go with 5. I'm gonna go with Spurs in 5. One, the Spurs are healthy. That's good to hear. When the Spurs are healthy, no one can beat them if they're healthy and on top of the game. So I'm gonna go with the Spurs at 5. There's nothing really to elaborate because let's be real, the Mavericks have no chance to win the series, but they might win a game. So yeah.
Yeah, that's why I would rather see the Suns because I think the Suns could at least take 1 or 2 games against the Spurs.
The Suns have youth and they have a point guard that can run up and down like crazy. Aaron Bledsoe
and Dragic. They have 2 point guards. They did a 2 point guard system.
Jeff Green is arguably the most improved player of the year. They have some ballers in Phoenix. And what's scary about Phoenix, they have 6 first-round picks in the next 2 years. Something
special. And the thing about that, and not only that, because like they have a lot of options they can use. Like they're going to have a lot of cap space because they're going to get rid of Emeka Okafor, who's, let's face it, his best basketball years are behind him. He's no longer the same defensive player, and he was out the whole season. Get rid of Emeka Okafor. Move on forward with re-signing Bledsoe. Have Goran Dragic. You got the Morai twins. Channing Frye improved, you could say. Gerald Green, like you say, is the most improved player. You have those 6, draft picks. And not only that, you have leverage with those 6 draft picks because there's like a New York Knicks team. There's like a Brooklyn Nets team. There's teams out there that just don't have picks and are willing to trade. I think 1 pick they lost because the Timberwolves did not make the playoffs. So that's the only pick that they lost. But they still have 5 draft picks. And then one of them's Indiana's pick. Yeah, they have Indiana's pick.
That team that went 48 and 34 or 33 to have 5 draft picks within the next 2 years, that's pretty special.
Yeah, no, they're going to be a really good team. I wonder, will they be that one team just because they've been so exciting that the NBA rigs to get to the top 3?
And the Phoenix Suns had a lot of national TV games on ESPN this year, so it's not like the NBA it's putting Phoenix as that underdog. Yes, they are the underdog, but they've got a lot of national TV games this year, which is surprising, but that's good for Phoenix. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, but speaking of underdogs, we've had many underdogs make the playoffs. I don't think anyone predicted the Portland Trailblazers to make the playoffs at all from the West, but they did. And they're taking on the Houston Rockets, the new look Houston Rockets that a lot of people were super excited for, and they end up just doing Houston Rocket type things. Honestly, this matchup, I'm excited for it just because we're going to see no defense from both Damian Lillard and James Harden. We're going to see Dwight Howard get upset at least 1 or 2 times. And not only that, we're also going to see LaMarcus Aldridge just make all these jump shots. Like, you'll just be like, how is he making all these jump shots? It's amazing. It's going to be a fun matchup. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm really torn because I want to say Portland can upset because Portland provides some exciting basketball. Rip City is really, really of a loud building, and that could affect the Rockets a little bit playing in Rip City. They always have great fans that come out for the playoff time. But at the same time, it's just like, well, Houston has the experience edge, but do they have the maturity edge? Do they have the guard advantage? I mean, isn't Patrick Beverley out for the season? He's out, right? He's gone.
He's back.
He's back? Okay. That's what I didn't know about Houston because I didn't know Patrick Beverley was going to be out for a long period of time because Beverley, he makes Lillard pissed off. Like, Damian Lillard wants to punch that dude whenever they go against each other. So, in all honesty, I want to choose Portland for my upset. But I got another upset, and I think we have the same upset later on in the playoffs. So, I'm just going to stick it safe. I'm going to give Houston 6 games here. I think this is going to be a good 6-game series. Houston in 6.
This is the one series I really think will definitely go to 7 games.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go with the Houston Rockets, but there's a catch. You should know this in fantasy basketball because you had this guy on your team, and he's missed a lot of games at the end of the regular season in Dwight Howard. If Dwight Howard is not fully healthy, I'm not. I'm gonna pick the Portland Trailblazers to win this series. But if Dwight Howard
Yep.
is 100% fine, and we're assured that he's gonna be the Dwight Howard we all know he's supposed to be, the guy that left LA to go to Houston to win. If that guy is playing and he's 100%, I'm gonna go with the Houston Rockets in 7 games. Simply because the Portland Trailblazers, no one expected them to be here. They are inexperienced, and it's just they don't. Neither team plays defense, but if there's one team that plays a little better defense than the other, it's the Houston Rockets. Simply because of Dwight Howard.
All this game is going to. All these games are going to be is just like terrible 3-point shots being made, a bunch of jump shots. Like we're going to see like probably a combined like 30 layups throughout the night. There's going to be a lot more layups, but
I'm not surprised if Wesley Matthews and Chandler Parsons combined have like 130 3-point attempts by the end of the season.
Yeah, no, seriously, this is just going to be. Watch this series actually just disappointing. It's just like so many boring games. But no, this is going to be a jump shot series. So for anyone who likes breaking down jump shots, this is the series for you because a lot of people are just going to take jump shot after jump shot, 3 points after 3 points. So none of these teams have defense whatsoever. It's just going to be an offensive explosion between these two teams. I'm looking forward to this series a lot. But yeah, like we said, Houston's going to win. And like Portland's a young team. This is good for them. I think Damian Lillard is one of the more exciting players to watch. I'm glad that he's having a really, really good breakout, type of career that he's having. So let's see where Lillard goes on from here after this series. The Clippers taking on the Warriors. I think everyone is just like loving this series because anything with the Golden State Warriors, everyone will watch it because the Warriors are the exciting team. Warriors lost Andrew Bogut, and I say who cares because Jermaine O'Neal, for some reason, has found a fountain of youth. He went to Tim Duncan's hyperbolic time chamber and took some sensu beans. So he's healthy now. Jermaine O'Neal is actually playing like Jermaine O'Neal of the old. Like, I can't believe it's 2003 for Jermaine O'Neal. Like, seriously, he's playing really good. So, losing Bogut, that will hurt when they face off a really good team like OKC and San Antonio, but you're facing the Clippers. You're facing the Los Angeles Clippers. And Clipper fans, I know a lot of people are saying the Clippers could actually surprise people and go all the way and make the finals. And you are rightful to make that case because Blake Griffin actually improved on his jump shot this season. And he's playing great basketball. And this is Blake Griffin's team. This is CP3's team. But I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough to handle the Golden State Warriors. I think the Warriors are going to upset the Clippers in 7 games. I think this is going to be the best series. I think this is the series a lot of people are going to be tweeting about. I think this is the series that a lot of people are going to be just watching with their eyes glued on TV. I know I am. I'm excited for this one. I'm going to try to see if I can get tickets to go to either one of these games. Most likely the LA games because I'm not going to drive out to San Francisco. Or maybe it'd be a fun trip to drive out to San Francisco just to watch a game. But the Clippers and the Warriors are going to be the best series. But I'm picking the Warriors with the upset. I always think something bad happens to the Clippers in the playoffs. I think someone's going to go down with the injury. I just think none of their shots are going to fall down. I just always feel something bad happens to the Clippers in the playoffs, and that's just it. I don't think they have good luck in the playoffs. That's the only reason why. I think something bad is going to happen for them not to make it through to the second round. And I want to see Golden State in the second round because the other team I'm choosing, it would be the best matchups ever. So Golden State in 7.
I've been waiting for this one. This was the one I really wanted to talk about since Jay started this video. I've been waiting for this because something about this series. First of all, at the beginning of this video, I said I've picked 3 upsets. I've already elaborated on 2 of them, and this will be my last upset, which is the last series we're talking about. The Golden State Warriors will beat the Los Angeles Clippers. Yes, I agree with Chase and the other few people in this world that's actually picking the Warriors. Because let's be real, the Clippers are favored in ESPN, Vegas, anyone you can think about that lives under their mother is picking the Los Angeles Clippers to win this series. But I'm picking the Golden State Warriors. Here's why. Can I really trust DeAndre Jordan to make free throws in the fourth quarter when it really matters? No. That will force Doc to bench him, which most likely that's going to happen, and that is an impediment to Los Angeles Clippers because they need DeAndre Jordan in the game to win. And yes, Blake Griffin has had an MVP year. Yes, you could put him as a top 3 best player in the league right now. Some people can argue that. I won't. Can I really trust Blake Griffin to make those clutch free throws? Until he proves me wrong, No. So I think the Clippers' big men will be a liability rather than an asset, and Chris Paul will not have his big men to work with. So he'll have a more jam-packed, crowded, space to drive in the passing lanes. The defense will come forward. He will not be the floor will not be spaced because I don't think Blake Griffin will make his jump shots, and obviously DeAndre Jordan can't make his jump shots. So it'll be harder for Chris Paul to operate, and it's gonna be tough for the Clippers. And I think the Warriors. Let me say something about the Golden State Warriors. Last year in the playoffs, they beat the Denver Nuggets in 6 games in the first round without David Lee. They went to 6 games with the San Antonio Spurs without David Lee. So, and that David Lee is arguably their second best player, if he's healthy. So they did all of that without David Lee. And the Clippers is not the Spurs. Yeah, they're better than the Nuggets, but they're not the Spurs. And the Clippers, I really thought the Warriors could have won that series against the Spurs if they had not blown that 18-point lead in Game 1 with 3 minutes left. If they had won Game 1, my bad, they would have won that series. But yeah, I'm going with the Golden State Warriors to beat the Los Angeles Clippers. But instead of 7 games, I'm going with 6. And I think it's going to be Golden State and San Antonio. Is it San Antonio? No, Golden State and the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, that's the reason why I'm choosing the Warriors in all honesty, because I want to see Golden State and OKC. Have just put on the greatest games I've seen in a long time when it comes out to the NBA.
There's always a fight, and there's always flopping when it comes to those games. Every game.
And the thing about the Clippers, it's just that I always feel bad luck happens to them. Like it'll be like, oh, Blake Griffin sprained his knee, so he's not 100%. Like I feel like Jamal Crawford, something might happen with him, or Darren Collison, something might happen with him. Like they have a great bench. Like the Clippers are a great, scary team, but I always just feel they always have bad luck. Like this team just cannot, they just cannot get the extra push there because they just have the worst luck in the world when it comes to the playoffs. Something bad always happens.
One more point about the Clippers I'll make. Yes, they did have Billy Negro in the past 2 seasons, but and now they have arguably the best coach in the NBA. But that's not going to take away from the fact that they've choked the last 2 years in the playoffs. Okay, I'll give them a pass 2 years ago when they got CP3 because they were still, inexperienced, young at that point. But last year, that team should not have lost to Memphis the way they did in 5 games. That should have easily had went to. Wait, was that 5 games or 7?
Yeah, it was 5 games. It was 5. It was a because no, I think it was 6 because they won 2 games. They were up 2-0, and then Memphis won 4 straight.
Oh yes, that makes it worse.
Yeah,
you had a nothing lead and you lose 4 games in a row and lose the series. No way that should have happened. So just by the past 2 years, the way the Clippers proved they play in the playoffs, I am not going to give them a pass to say they're going to win this series. They're going to have to prove me wrong if they want to beat the Golden State Warriors because of last year and the year before. That's why I am not giving the Los Angeles Clippers the win for this first round matchup.
Yeah, because like I remember because they were hyping up that Game 6 when I was watching it. They're like, can they go to Game 7 again? And stuff like that because they were hyping up like the last year because like last year's 2 years ago I should say Clippers and Grizzlies matchup was like Game 7. It was really really good and it had a lot of great moments in NBA playoff history. So it was just like they were hyping up a Game 7, but then Memphis just shut them out. Like I remember that too. So yeah, it was 6 games if I'm correct about that. All right, let's just talk about OKC and Memphis now. Enough. And we're not Clipper haters. We're just being real about the Clippers here. We're just being real. OKC and Memphis. This is going to be an interesting matchup. I love OKC and Memphis games just because I feel Memphis, even with Westbrook, give OKC a lot of trouble. Memphis is a battlegrounded team. They should be a lot higher than the 7th seed, but that's what happens when you're in the West. I really think Memphis could push OKC to a 6-game series. I really do. I think Kevin Durant, though, he is the MVP of the season. There's no denying it. I think maybe Kevin Durant will turn it on and maybe try to sweep the Memphis Grizzlies, but I don't think you sweep the Memphis Grizzlies. I think it may be a 6-game series, a 5-game series. If they sweep the Memphis Grizzlies here, I'll be more impressed with OKC, and I'll just be like on the OKC bandwagon of maybe winning it all. But I think they're gonna win in 5 or 6 games. I would if they do sweep them. That would be super fucking impressive by OKC. It's not because OKC is a bad team whatsoever. It's because it's just that I think Memphis is a really good team, a really undervalued team in the NBA. It doesn't get much love because they're not a media power. They don't have a player that you can look at that's a really star player for the media. I mean, Randolph is not that guy. Gasol is not a media guy. You know, Conley's not a media guy. And what I mean by a media guy is like the media doesn't want to shove them down our throats like a LeBron James or a Kevin Durant or a Chris Paul or Blake Griffin. They're more of like under the radar NBA hardcore fan type of guys.
Yeah. This series, this is actually a lot of people don't expect much in this series. They don't think it's going to be that entertaining. Personally, I think anything to do with the Oklahoma City Thunder and Russell Westbrook will be entertaining. So let's not go all crazy here. That's going to be a good series. It's not going to be great, but it'll be good. Here's my thing. Last year, when the Memphis Grizzlies beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, it's one reason and one reason only. No Russell Westbrook. Right now, Russell Westbrook is healthy. Yes, he's had 3 knee surgeries within the last 9 months. That is a bit alarming, but if pending he's healthy, yes, the Thunder will win this series. I won't say easily. Here's the thing. The Thunder will win this series in 5 games, but it will be, how should I explain this? It'll be like the Miami Heat and Chicago Bulls of last year. It's like the Miami Heat had to work for that 5-game win. For those 4 games they won last year against the Chicago Bulls. They had to work in every single game to win that series. That's what the Thunder is going to have to do. They're going to have to work every single game to win this series. It's not going to be a cakewalk. Yes, it won't go to 6 or 7 games in my opinion, but 5 games, it's not a lot, but it'll be a tough 5 games for the Oklahoma City Thunder, as I think they will prevail and win this series because Kevin Durant is having an MVP year. Right now, in my opinion, he's the best player in the league at this moment. Overall, no, but at this moment, I would say he's better than LeBron James. And Russell Westbrook is a top 10 player, and in my opinion, top 3 best point guard in the NBA.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't think this. I think a lot of people are just gonna be writing off Memphis easy on this one and just say, oh yeah, like you said, no one's really giving Memphis too much credit, but I think they should get a lot of credit. It is going to be a tough series for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're not going to be able just to walk all over the Memphis Grizzlies. This is going to be an interesting series, and I can't wait to see it. In all honesty, this is the one series that I'm going to have my eyes on a lot because if OKC sweeps Memphis, and like you said, they're going to be tough games, I'm going to be more impressed with OKC than I was ever before. I'm going to say, you know what? I actually think the Thunder could actually win the big one. And I really wasn't that high on the Thunder in all honesty. I just thought that the Thunder were kind of, the Thunder were a good team, but I wasn't super high on them like I am on the Spurs right now,
Yeah. I know exactly. But here's something I want to really know. And it's a bit weird how this works. The San Antonio Spurs could be in a 7-game series in the NBA Finals could beat the Miami Heat. The Oklahoma City Thunder, for some reason, cannot beat the Miami Heat in a 7-game series. The San Antonio Spurs, though, cannot beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in a 7-game series for some odd reason, but the Miami Heat can. So it's weird how that works. So, in my opinion, I don't see any team beating Miami for the championship that's not the San Antonio Spurs, because the Spurs could beat the Miami Heat. No other team really proved that they can. So the only way the Miami Heat can really, you can say, get dethroned is if the Spurs find a way to get past OKC, break that chamber, and go out and win the NBA championship, and make up for the wrong that happened last year in the NBA Finals and win it all. But until they don't get past OKC, my pick to win the West is Oklahoma City and Miami in the East, and Miami and OKC clash up in the finals again.
I'm going with the boring pick. I'm going with San Antonio versus Miami still. I don't know.
I really wanted to choose the Spurs, but after the season Kevin Durant has been having and Russell Westbrook being healthy, I just can't pick against them. But I would not be surprised if they lose to the San Antonio Spurs in a 7-game series.
Yeah, right now I'm on the NBA 2K14, and I'm going to be setting up these playoff matchups in the playoffs, and I'm going to see who would win each first round matchup. So I'm doing that right now. Who was I going to ask? I knew I had a question to ask, but I forgot it right off the top of my head. No, Miami's not the 3rd seed, but the 2nd seed. What am I doing here? There's a lot of teams you can choose from in the NBA. You can play as the Europeans. So for anyone who's a John Lucas fan and you misplayed as him, you can do that. Or you can get Lamar Odom. Oh yeah, this is the first season ever where the Celtics, the Lakers, and the Knicks did not make the playoffs all together. That's crazy.
That's gonna hurt the NBA marketing
Oh,
wise.
yeah. I think the NBA they like when the Lakers and the Celtics and the Knicks suck. That's when the NBA is not a good season. I think this season of the NBA, in all honesty, is a forgettable one.
I agree. I agree. It's not gonna be a historical season. Like the only thing I'm gonna remember from this season is Kevin Durant having that remarkable stretch of 41 straight games with 25 plus points.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that's the only thing that really salvages this season was that KD. Like, I think that was the most exciting thing this season. Like, okay, yeah, Indiana, maybe the Suns being a good team, but other than that, nothing really exciting. Uh, no, just
The
simulate the game.
only way this season will be memorable is if one of these underdogs, and this is me speaking out of my eyes, but one of these underdogs in the playoffs right now just make a miracle, and I mean a Dallas Mavericks miracle type of run to the Eastern or Western or possibly the NBA Finals. That's the only way I remember the series. Like season, not series. Like for example, like as an underdog, like even Brooklyn, if Brooklyn makes the finals, that would be pretty shocking in my opinion. Or like the Portland Trailblazers, or for example, even the Raptors.
Yeah,
So,
the
you know,
Raptors.
it's weird how that's the only way I remember the season. If one of those underdogs just make a miracle run.
All right, so I simulated the first round of the 2K in the Eastern Conference. It took 5 games for the Pacers to overcome those Atlanta Hawks. The Bulls and the Wizards went to 7, with the Bulls winning that one. The Miami Heat, it took them 6 games to get rid of those Bobcats, and it took 7 games for Toronto to overcome the Nets. And then on the Western Conference side, we had the San Antonio Spurs defeat the Mavericks in 5. The Blazers defeated the Rockets in 6. The Clippers got swept by the Golden State Warriors. They did. And the Oklahoma City Thunder defeated Memphis in 5.
Most of those sounds about right, except for the Golden State Warriors one and the Portland Trailblazers and Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't know. Miami going to 6 games with those Bobcats? I don't know.
That's I 5 the most, nothing more, nothing less. Yeah, you can get a 4-game sweep, but nothing more than 5.
I'm just trying to see who would win the whole playoffs. Right now, the Eastern Conference Finals is Miami, Chicago, and Spurs and Golden State. Oh no, who's gonna win the Spurs and Golden State series? And it's gonna be the Spurs versus the Heat. Oh no, this is gonna be an exciting little matchup here, Timran. Because I chose the Spurs as my user control team because they were the first team on there. Wow, it's gonna be 7 games, and the Heat have won the championship game. So
7 games.
7 games. That would actually be a good playoffs if that happened like that. I would not be upset about the playoffs if that was the playoffs we were given. All right,
one last thing. This is literally sorry guys. This is gonna be the last thing I'm gonna throw in about the playoffs. I'm gonna toot my horn before my claws are being drawn. That sounded so weird. But the playoffs haven't started yet. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and pick my MVP of the playoffs, as I do think, and I really, I really thought about it between Steph Curry and Paul George, but yes, the Indiana Pacers have been struggling, but take Kevin Durant out of the way, take LeBron James out of the way, take away James Harden, all these star-studded guys. I'm gonna go with Steph Curry to win, to be the most valuable player in these playoffs for his team.
Man, you could argue that. I would say Steph Curry too. All right, so that was Timran's last thing. You guys can follow Timran with all the links in the description below, his YouTube channel and his Twitter. You can follow him on there. Make sure you guys subscribe to me. I'll have Timran back on when we are going to be talking about the Western Conference semifinals, then the Eastern Conference semifinals, and also break down the series, give out some little awards, and see if we agree, because the NBA awards normally get announced at the semifinal mark. That's when we find out who's the MVP, 6-man, most improved, and everything else, and Coach of the Year, and we'll discuss all of that next time we are on here. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you all for the Eastern Conference semifinals and the Western Conference semifinals. That's the next time I'll be talking about basketball. Peace, guys.